Shepherd of the Hills, and one that we love and cherish. 15 years, Jason? The Texas State International Piano Festival has been going on for 15 years. It was started by Jason. It is tended, nurtured, and fed by Jason. And this is one of the ways that we can help support his work in the world. The way this all began was some years ago, quite a few now, probably 8 or 9. There was a woman in the choir, Louise Freilich, who had said to Jason, I want to give you some money for a scholarship for the piano festival, because students come from all over the world for this international piano festival, and that's an expensive endeavor. And if you're a young artist, then that can create obstacles in your ability to participate in these things. And so she had promised Jason some money for a partial scholarship, and then Louise passed away. And so I said to Jason, I really think that the choir and the church in general would really love to support you and to support the festival and to honor Louise's memory. And so we started that year the Louise Freilich Honorary Scholarship Fund for the Piano Festival, and probably raised, I don't know, $500 or $600. Well, we've done a lot better than that in recent years. And Shepherd has continued to support the Piano Festival and to support Jason and to enjoy the opportunity for all of us to participate in this amazing music. So I'm going to turn things over to Jason and let him tell you all the whatnots and all the how-tos and all of that. But we're so thrilled. Well, and I say this every time, but y'all, it's so true. I feel the need to remind us regularly. We don't deserve Dr. Jason Kwok at this church. What he does for us is like asking a virtuoso to play chopsticks on the piano. It is so elementary, but he does it with such incredible grace and graciousness and kindness and care and love for all of us. And so, Jason, we love you, and we love the Piano Festival just because you do it. It's all great and all, but frankly, this is about our love for you and our desire to support you and to support wonderful music in the world. So thank you for letting us host this and letting us participate in this, and I'm going to let you tell us what's going to happen.
It is on. Okay, thank you everyone for being here. This is usually the most stressful time period of the year for me, right here in the middle to late May, because the Piano Festival kicks off in the first week of June. This year is a little bit different. We're still stressed, don't get me wrong. But I have mentioned this to you before. To celebrate our 15th year, we have moved the Piano Festival off campus. So we are going to be hosting it in the Arts District in Seoul, South Korea, starting on June 24th, and we'll go to July 6th. This has been an incredible endeavor, much bigger than we even anticipated, but I am very happy to say things are falling into place. Of course, the financial responsibility to put something like this together. And one of the bigger things that some of us have gone through recently is, now, South Korea has had an incredible emergence of really top-notch stars. And there's this one piano professor who's sort of responsible for a lot of them. And she's on our faculty this year, Professor Soo Jung-shin, and she's been most gracious and she's been so nice. But 2 of her students, or former students, are also on faculty, and they have not. Let me clarify. What they have been doing is making sure that we treat her correctly. So one of our first performers, Martin Kesuma, had to go back and forth because he's the one who's working out the actual booklet for all of this, and he's had to adjust everything to them, saying, put this person first. It's an easy thing to say. To Martin, put this person first means adjust everything else for the next many, many pages. So it's been something, but a lot of these things have gone off very well. I'm going to explain to you the format of our performance today after the first performance. Right now, we have two performances coming up to do something that is forehand. Now, I have already mentioned to the choir, but let's see if anybody else will know this. What's the difference between forehand performance and a two-piano performance? That's right. Forehand piano performance is on a single piano. Who has heard that before? We do have some people. So, right now, I will have two of the main directors of our piano festival, Dr. Martin Kesuma and Dr. Sungwon Park. They are, yes, former students of mine, but it's hardly, I can't really call them that anymore. They're absolutely colleagues in everything that they do, and they are gracious enough to do the opener and the closer for us today. So let's get things started right now with the piece called Nirvana. Let me welcome onto stage Dr. Sungwon Park and Dr. Martin Kesuma. is an excellent way to get us started. Thank you, both of you, and they will be back for our closing number today. I'm gonna make like a Leon-style joke, so. I know. So, someone Park, Dr. Park, texted me. She was originally planning on getting here around 2:30, and she told me her estimated time of arrival will be 2:56, and this thing starts at 3, and she's playing the opening piece. The reason she is doing that is she's currently a professor of piano over at Texas Lutheran University in Seguin. They made her come in on a Sunday. So the Leon-style joke is, Lutherans. Sorry. Okay, so when we first started discussing this year, because we are going to Korea, our usual recruiting, or the students that came to us, that expanded into a complete different level this year. It was quite something. And one of the issues that I was explaining to Beth is we really didn't have any students coming to us from Central Texas this year. They're coming from all over the place. Also, another thing, because we're not holding it at the beginning of June and in the middle of June, a lot of you guys might have not thought about this, we suddenly opened the door to the kids from California because now their school is finally over. So I'm going, how are we going to do this concert? So one of the things that we decided to do, and this actually might be a positive, is we're going to feature a lot of our students from videos. The reason that this is going to turn out to be a positive because we were before limited just to who we can get from Central Texas. Now we're going to open it up to the entire our roster of students. So if I can explain just a little bit with our next slide. This year at our Texas State International Piano Festival, we are going to be hosting our second Ben Gomez competition. Colonel Ben Gomez is a nice gentleman out of Georgetown, and he has donated to us thousands of dollars. I would say well over 100,000 now. And he's been incredible to us, and he's got this one simple mission. He wants us to discover the next level of talent. So we've had many people that have gone through this, and the first competition was a huge success, and he is sponsoring this competition. So this competition is one of the more, let me try to remember what I wrote down. Okay, this is going to be one of these ones with really special prizes. So for now, sorry, I wish I had my own individual clicker thing. We have chosen 6 finalists. Can you guys read that? I should have made the font bigger. We have chosen 6 finalists out of many, many applications. So those 6 finalists are the ones that we're going to feature today, or at least 4 of them, because if we feature 6, we would go into 2 hours. Okay? The 6 finalists will be competing on June 30th and July 1st, with each of them performing a recital of around 40 minutes. And we're going to have 3 judges over there. This is very, very serious competition. And the last one. The winner will receive solo engagements with the Seocho Philharmonia, which is an orchestra located in Seoul, and also the Central Texas Philharmonic, which is here in Round Rock. For all of us musicians, the number one thing that we enjoy the most, because I think it brings out the inner diva in us, are something called concertos. Now, who here knows what a concerto means? If you don't, that's quite all right. It's not the easiest term. Concertos are when you are the featured soloist and you have the orchestra accompanying you. So the attention is really on you and you hold everybody in control, and it's a great feeling. So that is usually the cream of the crop things that we look for as musicians: concerto performances, solo engagements. Now, if you guys think about it, you probably know what I'm talking about. You can picture yourself Van Cliburn playing the Tchaikovsky concerto in front of the Moscow Orchestra. These are the prizes that we're giving, so this is a significant prize. Because we didn't have any Central Texas students, and we're going to have to do something with the videos, I figure it might be a good way for me to introduce 4 of the 6. So we're going to start with our first performer today. David Choi, he is our only high school student that made it into the finals. Now, David was also a student at Art Festival back in 2019 as a 13-year-old. He had that awkward perm that his mother probably forced on him. I cannot believe how old he is. Just to tell you a little bit about David Choi. First, he's a junior at an online Stanford high school. Carnegie Hall debut, I can't read my own writing. Carnegie Hall debut at the age of 6, and accolades includes National Young Arts and the Kaufman Piano Competition. To tell you a little bit more about David Choi, he's actually going to arrive at Art Festival a few days late because he's going to be in the Sendai competition in Japan right before. Also, performing for you today, he will be performing a piece called Scarbo from Gaspar de la Nuit. And I just want to make a very small comment about this piece. And this is actually a true story. Later on, you're going to hear a piece by Alexander Scriabin, his Fourth Sonata, by another finalist. Scriabin, back in 1861, I believe, hurt his hand learning this piece called Islame, which was known as the hardest piece ever written for the piano. Ravel didn't like that too much, so he wrote Scarbo. So this is one of those, you'll see. So we have a special message from David, then we'll jump right into his playing.
Hello, everyone at SHPC. My name is David Choi, and I'm currently a junior attending Stanford Online High School in the Colburn Music Academy. I'm so honored to be chosen as a finalist for the second Ben Gomez competition, and I'm looking forward to participating in the 15th Texas State International Piano Festival held in Seoul, South Korea this year. Thank you so much for your generous donations. Your support is invaluable. It helps students like me be able to obtain a scholarship to not only go and share our love for music, but to have unforgettable experiences. So I thank you once again, and I hope to see you all soon.
So that was David playing Scarborough by Maurice Ravel. So, you know, you're only going to get to hear 4 out of the 6, but do keep tabs in your head. Who do you particularly like out of these? Because it's not just the trained musical ears that is important. They must learn how to communicate to everybody. So our next finalist, Miss Yewon Kim. Who here knows the Tom Brady story? Drafted out of University of Michigan, he was picked number 199, and he was a skinny little thing that nobody else. Then he went up to the owner of Mr. Kraft over at New England saying, this is the smartest decision you ever made. Well, not that where they come from or what school they attend or who their teachers or anything like that really matters. We just want to hear good playing. But Yewon was the anomaly until we heard her play. We just went, oh my goodness. She is a sweet student currently studying over at Missouri State University in Springfield. I have a very deep affinity for Missouri State. How many of you guys knew that Missouri State used to be called Southwest Missouri State? How many of you guys knew that Texas State used to be called Southwest Texas State? That's connection, twins. And I am very familiar with the faculty over at Missouri State, so very familiar with Yewon's teacher. She will also be performing a piece by Ravel, but a complete different style. Satire compositions, which is sometimes some of my favorites. You know, for instance, in 1917, when the Bolsheviks took over, and we had the Russian Revolution, and there was this decree from Stalin saying, we want music to be composed this way. Shostakovich goes, yes, sir, and just a bunch of smart aleck things in his music. This is sort of familiar. So, during time periods of war and all kinds of bad things going on, the aristocrats still like to hold their big galas, their waltzes, and this piece is called The Waltz. While this is being performed, you're going to hear bombs go off. I think this piece is just brilliant, and this is one of the hardest pieces ever written. Let me tell you a little bit about Yewon. She is at Missouri State University, and she is, I never pronounced this right, Sanhwa Arts Academy, which is a very established one in South Korea, and her accolades includes the Memphis International Competition, the International Professional Pianist Association in Conero, and MTNA, which is the big governing body of all of our classical musicians. So she is well established, and she blew us away with her audition. So please enjoy Yewon's message for you guys first. Then she'll be performing The Waltz or La Valse by Maurice Ravel.
Hi everyone at SHPC. My name is Yewon Kim, and I'm currently studying piano performance at Missouri State University. I'm so honored to be chosen as a finalist for the second Ben Gomez competition, and really looking forward to competing at the 15th Texas State International Piano Festival in Seoul this summer. Thank you so much for your generous support. It truly means a lot. Your donations help students like me have this kind of opportunity, and I'm so grateful. Hope to meet you all in person soon.
I should let you know, there's a very good chance that Yewan is watching right now. So that applause is very much appreciated. What'd you guys think of that piece? Okay, so we are going to move on to our third finalist. Okay, Kate Park. You know how I used Tom Brady as an analogy for a Yewan? I'm going to use Peyton Manning for Kate. Kate is the pedigree. She's the one exactly doing what she's supposed to do. She's currently a master's student at the Juilliard School. Smart as they come, talented as they come, and as elegant as they come. She's going to be performing for you. Well, let's go through her things that I took the time to write down. So she's a master's student at Juilliard. Made her debut in 2015 at the Yamaha Hall, and accolades include solo performance at Carnegie Hall and Sungnam Art Center. So very much a standard of growing up to be exactly who she is. Okay, so let me just go into something. In 1802, a lot of our favorite composer, Ludwig van Beethoven, claims these words. He goes, I am no longer happy with my compositions. I shall go in a new direction. The biggest reason that he said this is because throughout his young life, he was always compared to Mozart and Haydn. And to his side of it, everything great that was supposed to be done in that period has been done. And he wanted to go towards his own direction. And the piece that he wrote to kick off this new compositional style is what? Dr. Kesuma? I just called him yawning. So this would be Beethoven's Third Symphony, called the Eroica. Has anybody ever heard of the Eroica Symphony? Good. The biggest thing to know about the Eroica Symphony when it comes to history is he first dedicated this to the Savior, somebody who was leading France and doing wonderful things to bring peace into Europe, a young general named Napoleon Bonaparte. Then Bonaparte, a few months after the composition started, says, I am no longer being happy being the general of France. I would like to conquer Europe. So Beethoven first made the dedication to Napoleon Bonaparte for his Third Symphony, famously crossed it out, and wrote this sentence right there, in memory of a man I once knew, or in memory of a great man. Now, we're going to spin this all the way over to 1809, so we're going to say 7 years later. Beethoven is in Vienna, and he is over there staying with his great patron, okay, Archduke Rudolph. Napoleon is running wild, and he's about to come in, and one of the first things he does is to come into specific towns and arrest aristocrats, and who Archduke Rudolph was. So Beethoven in 1809 began composing this piece called the Farewell Sonata. And the first movement is very, very, appropriately titled Goodbye or Farewell. Okay? The second movement is called The Absence, because this is how he felt while his friend Archduke Rudolph was gone, escaping from Napoleon. Famously, it is 1809, but when you look at the compositional date, it's written 1809/1810. No, I'm kidding. The reason it's written that way is Beethoven decided to not write the last movement, which is called The Return, until Rudolph came back. And Rudolph did come back, and he wrote this. This one's a little bit shorter than the other pieces, and this is going to be performed excellently by Kate Park. So let's listen to a little message from Kate Park, then you're going to hear The Return from Beethoven.
Hello everyone at SHPC. My name is Kate Park, and I'm currently a student at the Juilliard School pursuing my master's degree. I'm very excited to be chosen as a finalist for the second Ben Gomez competition and looking forward to competing at the 15th Texas State International Piano Competition in Seoul, South Korea. Thank you all for your generous donations. Your gifts go a long way, including providing a scholarship for students like me to have an opportunity to compete for a special prize offered by this year's TSIPF. Hope to meet you all in person soon.
and that is Kate Park. And we're looking very much forward to hearing her. So I would like to get to the final one that we're going to represent. Besides the four that that we're displaying today, there's two more. There's one that is representing the Indonesian crowd, so we got two right there, named Sally Yapo from Manhattan School of Music. And the last one is Minjin Kim, and she's over there coming from the Johns Hopkins Peabody Institute. All of them phenomenal. So those six, and we're going to have a well of a time. Now, let me tell you about Mr. Adrian Zaragoza. Oh, if any of you guys know any Spanish and you hear the words con corazón, that's what Adrian embodies. Everything that he plays, he does it this way. And I think I dropped that little hint earlier on that he's going to be playing some Scriabin. Let me tell you a little bit about Adrian. Right now, the Curtis Institute of Music has probably been the top most recognized piano school in the world for quite a while, much more than Juilliard. So Adrian is a student over at the Curtis Institute, originally from California. He's a laureate in the Singapore International Competition, the Nordic International, and the Arthur Fraser. Those are three very, very big competitions. And his accolades include performing with the, I can't read that much, I have old man eyes. So he's been playing with a lot of people. Now, I want to just give you a little bit more different kind of a hint when it comes to Scriabin himself. You know, if we were to ask anybody around, who is your favorite classical music composer? All of us would have various different answers. But if you just frame that question a little bit differently and you ask, who's the greatest genius ever to write classical music? Usually within circles, it falls either Johann Sebastian Bach or Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Some people might say Beethoven, some people might say Brahms, maybe me. Some people might say Debussy, but it usually lies within those two. However, that changed a little bit after the turn of the century, from the late 1800s to the 1900s. What started happening is music started to go away from the Germanic traditions and started going outside into various different places. One of the most famous composers that a lot of people consider absolute geniuses is somebody out of the Romanian area, Hungarian area, named Bela Bartok. And if you really listen to his music, you can hear quite a bit. Another one, the Russian tradition started off with, I'm going to be just very honest over here, 5 guys who were drunks and that just wrote music that was ridiculously hard but not too intellectually complicated. They're affectionately known as the Russian Five. Then came other composers who kept their tradition of writing very difficult music but with a lot more intellect. And so Tchaikovsky is a product of somebody who never joined the Russian Five because he was a little bit too intellectual. Then that kept going, and suddenly the academia caught up with these very interesting themes. 2 of the composers that I always think of is Sergei Prokofiev, who I absolutely love, and another person that I think is an absolute genius is Alexander Scriabin. His earlier works, where he's just finding his language, this is the 4th Sonata, and you're going to find it very, very unique. It really explores the spectrum, but by the end of Scriabin's life, I don't know if these guys over here know much about the piece called Mysterium. He wrote a piece called the Mysterium. It's supposed to take, with the backdrop of the Himalayan mountains, it's supposed to take 7 days to perform. And afterwards, the end of the world's supposed to happen. That's actually a true story. But way before he got really out there, there's his 4th Sonata, which is one of my favorite pieces, performed by the great Adrian Zaragoza. Remember, Con Corazón. So here's a little message from Adrian, then we'll get into him playing the Scriabin 4th Sonata.
Hello, my name is Adrian Zaragoza, and I am an undergraduate pianist studying at the Curtis Institute of Music under Professor Michelle Can. It is such an honor to have been selected to participate in the 2nd Ben Gomez International Piano Competition as a finalist, and to be able to participate in the 15th Texas State International Piano Festival, held this year in Seoul, South Korea. I would like to offer a very big thank you to everyone who has so generously given their support to make our dreams come true. Thank you for everything you do for us, and for believing in the power of music to bring us all together. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.
Do you understand what I mean now? One of the things that I hope everybody's able to catch is not only are all of these pianists spectacular technicians, their fingers can do anything, but they're all very much poets. They have something to say with the music, the notes that they learned, and they have something to say with that. Okay, so thank you all for that. We just have one more live performance left to close out today's recital. We're going to bring back Dr. Park and Dr. Keisuma, and they're going to play a tune hopefully very familiar to your ears.
Please come out. I'll let you finish any remarks, but I want to give a shout out to Sherry and Robert Rasmus, who provided all of the snacks and made everything lovely out there. So be sure to go and eat something. You guys, so amazing, so much fun to watch you. All of the participants, what an amazing job. And Jason, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of you, and we're so grateful for you. So thank you all so much.
I'm sure it's no surprise to any of you guys, these two, before they met me, could not play a single note. I will tell you with both of them, now that they are established professionals, if they ever sound bad on the piano, then the teacher is horrible. Because you have to be really, really bad for them to sound bad. So thank you both for all of that. Just going to go with the final comments over here. We do have an offering plate over here. Checks can be made to TSIPF, and the QR code is on the program. I want you guys to, this is something that I will emphasize all the time, which is we are a nonprofit organization, okay? We're not looking to make money. All three of us over here working on big leadership roles right now. In fact, we have a meeting after today on various things. We do it for the passion. We do it for the passion, and we really think that this is a really right thing to do to make this classical music a better world for the next generation. Because right now, I'm the luckiest person in the world. I push buttons for a living. So thank you all for coming out here today. Today was wonderful. I'm glad this worked out really well. So I'm going to be spinning with some new creative minds to present next year's program. Thank you all so much, and please enjoy the snacks. Thank you.